Percy Jackson and the Olympians utilized CGI and VFX with some practical effects to create many of the visually challenging parts of the series. In episode 5, Percy and Annabeth visited Hephaestus's park, which is similar to an amusement park. On the ride through the love tunnel, they experienced a magnificent display, and none of this, including the water, resulted from CGI or VFX. So the crazy secret behind that scene is that they used a digital studio called Volume Stage. That means it's a visual effect available on set during filming. It didn't need to get added again in post-production because it was built to make storytelling genuine without editing a lot. So instead of acting on a blue screen as usual, the cast got to experience the digital artwork, which made them get into character. The water is also a part of the build-up, with the crew planting their cameras in different corners of the tunnel to capture that part of the scene. However, a jacuzzi was used to film when Annabeth and Percy dived into the water, which was still a part of the stage setup. There was another trick done here whereby, on the show, it looked like their boat moved through a slope before they jumped into the water. But on set, crew members dragged the boat down before the CGI and VFX were introduced. For the underwater scene, Walker and Leah swam inside the water and their movements were captured live. So the only difference between that aspect of the scene and the one in the series is the little help they had on set to help with the stunts.
Here we go. Ready, and 3, 2, 1, action.
Funnily enough, the scene had so much more left for Annabeth and Percy to experience as Percy got trapped in Hephaestus's chair while trying to release Ares' shield. In this scene, viewers saw Percy get slowly covered in gold till his whole body turned entirely in a very emotional way. However, practical effects were utilized behind the scenes rather than CGI to change Percy.
In a world of gold.
Cinema gold.
There was a man.
There was a man. Look at that. Oh my gosh.
So a golden statue was molded sitting down exactly like Percy before shooting that scene, and he was replaced with the statue on the chair. Interestingly, Walker was so fascinated by this practically made golden statue that he couldn't help but play with it on set and even almost carried it home. Things got a little more real when the gang went to see Hermes in the Lotus Hotel and tried to escape in a car they found with Percy driving. Although that scene seems chaotic in the series, it's almost the same experience for the cast on set with minimal VFX applied. Firstly, they used a real props car for the part. A few of the damages done to the car on set were real, but they were all enhanced with video effects. In this scene, many practical effects were used which only needed a little more finishing in post-production, and one of them was the flashes and sparkles that looked like they were coming from other cars on the road. So without CGI and VFX, Walker was only driving in circles on the set where they were filming. Then a honking sound with a loud bang effect was also added on set, but there was no other car involved in that scene behind the scenes other than the one Percy was driving. Also, for the raining part of that scene, they had to use a rain tower, a machine for making rainfall on set, even if the weather behind the scenes is utterly different. Water scenes were non-avoidable by the cast and crew of Percy Jackson and the Olympians, so they all had to learn to swim and endure water even during cold weather. And that also means many of the stunts done in the water were all real. And one of them happened when Percy unknowingly flung Nancy Bobofit into the fountain water in their school. However, they had to pull a very serious stunt with that, and Olivia Morton, who played the role, had a thorough rehearsal before going to the set. And while on the set, Olivia also had a body double performer, and this scene is just the same as the one in the show without video effects, except for the fact that Walker wasn't shot together with her. Meanwhile, in another scene from episode 1, they left out the option of using a car when Sally tried to escape with Percy while Grover sat in the back seat. So the set differed from the CGI and VFX used to enhance the final product. Things got tricky when the Minotaur started to chase them, as the car had a lot of accidents while at it, but it's a good thing that it wasn't a real car behind the scenes.
Okay, Don's was just the beginning. He is next. He is brutal. He's relentless. He's wearing underpants.
But even though it wasn't a real car, the cast felt a lot of pressure while in the setup as they got shaken all around, and they were meant to keep up with the stunts and acting at the same time. While at it, they used rain towers too, which looked real in the series, but a total fake on set. Then the fight between Percy and the Minotaur started, which took a lot of energy for Walker to achieve on set, but some part of the set was manipulated with video effects to give a different outcome. Behind the scenes was an actor charging towards Percy while being dressed in a motion capture outfit, making it easier for the effects to be added later. But that's not all there is to conquer the Minotaur, as Percy took things further to climb the creature before getting completely rid of him. In this case, they used a buildup of an animal-shaped design to portray how Percy struggled with holding down the beast, and it's very different from the final look. One of the scenes in which they used a lot of CGI and VFX was when Percy faced Chimera, who was following Echidna's orders. And in that scene, Walker was only swinging his sword in the air as there was nothing in front of him. As you can see, the Chimera was only added using CGI in post-production because Walker was fighting with himself on set. While filming that scene, Walker made a lot of serious hits, and the director joked about them being great self-hits. Then another part of that scene where VFX was used was when the Chimera attacked Percy and he fell off the arch. However, Walker only had to perform a stunt for that scene on set, where he got filmed as he moved through the hole. Interestingly, this hole was made on set, and how Walker dropped without video effects is very different.
It's slower.
That at one, standing by to go hot.
Walker was held by wires on set, and he eventually went through with it. But the good thing about performing this stunt on set was that Walker had his body double, who made an even more significant fall with an enormous impact on set before it got edited. However, foams were placed on the edges of the large hole to avoid the cast and body double hurting themselves. But the fire wasn't a video effect, as a real fire was lit up on set, but in a controlled way to make sure everyone was safe. The Medusa scenes were also very terrifying, especially the snakes creeping out of her cap, and all of this was done uniquely before finalizing with CGI and VFX. Firstly, a mannequin with rubber snakes on was created for the rehearsals. On meeting Medusa, she invited the gang to lunch, which they gladly took before things took the wrong turn. Luckily for the cast on set, Medusa only had a hat on her head instead of the live snakes viewers saw in the show.
I'm Jessica Parker Kennedy, and I'm playing Medusa. This is my motion capture hat, which you won't see on the TV show. You'll see snakes. It'll be very scary. I hope you're very, very afraid.
With the motion capture, the editors could use CGI and VFX to add live creatures to her head and make them move scarily and strategically as they did on the show. Then another crazy scene on set that looked different without video effects was when they all visited the underworld and encountered Cerberus. As most viewers suspect, Cerberus wasn't real and wasn't portrayed by an actor wearing a blue suit. Instead, it was built with some strong materials which stood tall and arched on one side for Annabeth to climb. When it came to the dog spitting Grover back out, they used another material on set and made Arian, who plays the role, pass through it.
Welcome to my crib. I'm nailing this in one take.
Ready and action!
You are a bad dog.
Also, the scene involved stunts, as Grover had to be taken up first to give the illusion that the huge dog swallowed him. Grover's legs also look very different on set. Most of the time, he had to wear motion capture socks to be edited later on, but a practical effects goat leg was kept on set just in case.